Hello, Internet, and welcome once again to the Free-to-Play cast, brought to you by MMOBomb.com, your home for all things free-to-play related. I'm your host, Mike Byrne, and this is episode 395, and if you're not watching it live, you missed some pre-show where we were discussing potato chips and snack foods and all kinds of fun stuff, because, of course, we are doing the show live, twitch.tv/MMOBomb, every Friday, 1 p.m. Eastern. Come and join us. Chat is ready. They were ready before us. They mic checked before we were even live to do our mic check. So we appreciate it, chat. Thank you so much. Welcome, welcome. We'll be sure to get your opinions as we go on Space Punks, on Star Wars The Old Republic, on Path of Exile, on Jason having a little change of heart. The Grinch's heart grew, maybe one size that day. Not three sizes. And only because people did things in a slightly different way. So maybe it's not really a change of heart. Maybe it's just respect for doing things the right way. We'll find out when we get there. Joining me to go through all of it, of course, Mr. Jason Winter. What's up, sir?
Look, I'm getting old enough that an actual change of my heart size would be a pretty significant condition for me. I don't want to tempt fate there.
The Winter's heart grew three sizes. Also,
I shouldn't do that because there was a streamer I follow who actually did have a heart attack while on stream. So.
Oh no! Yeah, let's not do that. Also on the line, Ms. Quinlan Bowers. What's up, Q?
Not a lot. Did you guys tell people what Ion sent me?
We did. Do you want to show them though? We don't have a box to open on this show.
No.
But Q did have a box, but because she wasn't on last week, I said, "Go ahead. You can go ahead and open it."
Well, I kept the box because I have no idea what to do with this thing. So there's the box.
That's kind of cool. It's branded. Mine wasn't. It was just like...
Yeah, I've never got a branded box.
When you opened it, it had this little thing with a note on the back that basically, talks about them starting in 2009.
Yeah. And that
Farmville had just launched. And then they're like, they go on and they say that we're sending you a 3-month subscription time card and the Ion Classic trailer on one of the 2009's hottest pieces of tech, the iPod Nano 5th Gen.
Oh.
So there was the packaging for it.
Oh, that's cool.
I've already used the code, guys. So
I don't think we haven't seen this yet, by the way. Mike and I.
No, we have not. We knew.
Well, I sent my.
Yeah, she told us what it was, and she sent me a picture of the card.
Does it still? Well, let's see. Yeah, well, no, I sent you a picture of the Nano too, but yeah, just the little Nano, and I don't know if it's still charged or not.
Can you get that hot new artist, Taylor Swift?
Yeah, I hear she's. You know what? I think that girl's gonna go places. I don't know about
man.
you guys.
I don't know. I think it's a little iffy.
I don't know about you guys, but I think she's gonna go places.
Right.
Robo, thank you for the follow. Vinal.
It just has a trailer on it, so.
Thank you for the
follow.
follow.
The funny thing was, no charger. Oh yeah.
They were like, better hit up Amazon. We sourced these. We can't source the cables.
My house.
Little Ion back plate. Nice.
Yeah, little Ion thingy on it. So it's cool. I don't know what I'm gonna do with this. It's just been sitting over here in the box because I have no idea what to do with this thing.
Got a paperweight now. Might go to the manual.
Well, it's like
go to the manual.
Chat was
making dad joke comments. We got to go to the manual.
But I have a phone. I don't know. No bathrobe. No bathrobe.
Look, I was making dad jokes when I was like 15, so they can't really be called dad jokes.
I mean.
All right, sidetrack. We went to the mall this past Thursday. Wednesday? Yeah, Wednesday. I was supposed to stream, but I got invited by my children to take them to dinner. I got invited to take them to dinner because it had been forever since we've actually gone out and eaten somewhere. And so we went. We go to the mall. My daughter's looking at shoes. My son, Torchwick, who streams on Ready Check Radio, is with us. It's my wife, me, my daughter, and Torchwick. My oldest son was sleeping. We're in the shoe place. Some song comes on, and I just start dancing like an idiot, right? And my son starts dancing like an idiot, too, but only because the employee is actually in the back getting some shoe for my daughter. When the employee immediately makes the round out onto the floor, he stops dancing. I don't. I just keep going. And he starts laughing, and I said, oh, you chickened out. You stopped. He's like, you're right, I chickened out. I was like, look, you got to understand. I was making a career out of embarrassing your mother in public while we were dating and early in our marriage. And by the time I would have grown out of it, she stopped caring that I was being embarrassing in public. But you guys came right at that time and were starting to be embarrassed. So I never lost somebody that was embarrassed by my antics. So I just kept going and kept going. So, yeah. Dad jokes, definitely something that I've probably indulged in since I was 15 as well. Here. I forgot where I threw my boomerang. Oh, it's coming back to me now. It's coming back to me now. Right. Let's slide over and get started with the damn news. All right, we got a couple, maybe, I don't know what to call them. When you get married, you do the what? The like something new, something old, something borrowed, something blue, that whole thing. Well, we're going to do something new and some stories borrowed. And we're going to kick it off with the something new. If you're looking for something new to check out on the free-to-play front, you can check out Space Punks. Now, here's the thing. Right now, it is not free, right? It will be free when it launches, but it's early access. To get in, you have to buy one of their 2 little founders packs. I think the first one starts at 30, and the other one's a little more expensive than that, maybe like 45 or 50, with various
50.
stuff in there. Is it 50? Yeah,
it's 50.
So you can check this out. Now, this is a kind of looter shooter. There is some grabber-stabber elements in there if you want to melee it up, Jason. Multiple different characters that you can take through the world, doing repeatable missions, a main campaign, multiplayer teaming up, getting all of your loot, upgrading things, crafting. There's a skill tree. There's like all kinds of that typical stuff, right? I'm actually going to stream this after the show today. So if you're here in chat and you want to check it out, this will be the free-to-play game that I'm streaming today. 4 characters in the game right now. Now, there are a bunch of cosmetic things that will obviously be coming. Like, I'll show you the cash shop and stuff like that on stream. It's not in there yet. I mean, it's there, but there's nothing in it yet. Besides a few, hey, go take these freebies from us just so we can make sure this store thing is functioning. Honestly, I like this genre. Now, it is isometric, like Diablo-esque isometric camera view. Stagnant camera, so one of the gripes we all had with Magic Legends is not a gripe in here, where the camera rotates. That doesn't happen. 4 different characters with all kinds of different abilities. I don't think it's going to be for everyone, obviously. A lot of people don't like the isometric view. A looter shooter might not be for some of you as well. It is pretty funny. I got to give them that, right? It does have, chat pointing out, does have kind of like that Borderlands cel-shaded type look to it. It definitely does have that art style to it. Little irreverent humor there, which always can sometimes feel forced and not funny, but they seem to be treading the line nicely with clever writing without trying to force a joke down your throat and have it come off as cringy. All in all, I've probably played now for maybe 2 hours-ish, 2.5 hours-ish. I'm not all that far into it. I don't even have all my core abilities for the character that I started with. But I got to say, I'm kind of enjoying it. I could definitely see me playing it. The skill tree, I'll show you on stream, is huge for each character. It kind of came out of nowhere, though, Jason. It was like one of those games that was like, hey, we're making a game. Boom. Now we're in early access. And I kind of like when games do that rather than give us the slow trickle of information for 10 months. But what are your first impressions looking at the game?
So if I'm going to be Father Christmas later, I'm definitely going to be the Grinch now.
Are you?
Yeah. So first of all, I do agree with your notion that I like that they didn't like tease it up for months and months and months. We'd heard that they were working on something that Flying Wild Hog was working with Exile almost a year ago that we heard about that partnership, but didn't know anything about the game until we got the preview of it a couple weeks ago and so on. So
right. I
like that part of it. Your part about it feeling actually funny and not forced, I disagree wholeheartedly. It feels.
Have you played at all?
No, I haven't.
Because to be fair, I'm referencing in-game content, not like their trailers and stuff, which I think are just goofy.
Well, that's kind of the bad thing, though. If you're gonna,
Okay.
if you put
No,
your
no,
good
no,
jokes
that's fair.
in the
That's fair.
trailer,
Yeah, you're absolutely
And the
being
thing
fair.
is, here's what I'm seeing too. It's like I looked at their YouTube. They have 3 videos up. One for an announcement trailer, a video called Epic in Every Sense, and another one called Introducing the Founders Packs. The announcement trailer has just under 10,000 views. The other 2 have about 2,500. Now that's not everything, how many views you get in your trailer or whatever, but for a game that you think is going to be at least a somewhat big deal, has some big stuff behind it. Only 10,000 for your main video, with also, I should say, a 29 to 18 like to dislike ratio. That's not great.
Do you think that's like actually the downside to doing what we just both gave it praise for, though, Q? Like, if
No.
do you think if you just drop a trailer and then 3 weeks later or whatever you're in early access, yeah, you're going to have less views, less eyes because you haven't been on, a news article on MMOBomb and other sites 3 or 4 times over the course of the previous 3 or 4 months to start a little bit of traction building?
Yeah, and I mean, I don't know. I haven't seen much in the way of like general social media stuff for it. Like I've obviously not seen anybody talking about the game on Twitter or anything.
Yeah.
And that, because when it comes to like game trailers and stuff, I don't go to YouTube looking for game trailers myself necessarily. I find them on, Reddit or Twitter or something like that. Like somebody, it somehow gets in my view, and then I go watch it. It's not like I'm just sitting there like looking for all the, looking at every single game trailer.
Well, yeah, but where are those trailers located?
Yeah, and there's people in
Right.
chat that are saying,
view
like, Baron, to be fair, I've never even heard of it. And you'd be forgiven, right? Like, Jason's not wrong.
Yeah.
We had one article on MMOBomb a year ago that wouldn't even have had the title in it because it was just a project being worked on by Flying Hog and JagX. And then I think it was like, 3 weeks ago or 2 weeks ago even that we got like the first press kits from the team showing what they were working on, and we just kind of said, hey, here's what they're working on. Here's what it is.
We've actually got 3 articles on the site, and you guys apparently are not going to the site enough. Get to it. Kids.
Well, I'm being a little bit, I'm not counting the, hey, now it's available for purchase in early access, because that was the newest one. I'm talking about
they still would have heard of it if
exactly.
they were listening to the damn site.
Yeah. So, damn it, you got just called out, Jason. Jason just called you out. Visit MMOBomb.com. Actually, you really should. The tournament, not only is there great stuff there. At least
follow us on Twitter so you see the headlines.
You know what, though? I would almost bet money, now that I think about it, that if it had been on Steam.
Yeah, we're going to talk about that in just a second. Yeah.
More people would have seen it, because I do go to Steam and look through their coming soon on the games. And I guarantee, like, if it had been on Steam instead of the Epic Game Store.
Yep. Side note on going to MMOBomb.com, we are quickly approaching our final 4 for the free-to-play, best free-to-play game in quarantine event. We are very quickly approaching the final 4. This is it, gang. The last few votes are going to be coming in over the next week and a half. You got to get there. You got to vote for your favorites. You got to get your friends and fellow players to go vote for them. Don't let your game lose out now after making the final 4 because you didn't go to the site and cast your vote each time they're up. So, quick reminder there. As Q points out, Space Punks is only on the Epic Game Store right now. It does plan to, launch later this year into full launch, and then next year go into consoles as well. Now, it's an Epic Game Store exclusive from all the information that we have on PC for at least a year. So don't expect to see it on Steam anytime soon, but if you're really, really averse to playing on the Epic Game Store, and I know some are, then maybe pick it up or check it out on consoles when it launches in early 2022 there, Jason. So that is definitely an option for somebody like you that just isn't going to use the Epic Game Store if you're interested.
If the game's still around by then.
Oh, well, chat is asking Jason to make a prediction.
Oh.
So I guess we could have you make a prediction, Jason, on the longevity of said Space Punks.
I might think it'd still be around, but the whole we were going to be free to play later really thing just makes me feel like Fortnite saved the world. So or even Torchlight 3. So I could believe that it's not going to actually go free to play. That could be my that's my prediction.
Q, the burning question for you on the topic is, where should you never take a dog? A flea market. A flea market. You never.
You actually have a book?
Yeah, that one's like that was written on stone tablets back in like caveman days. That one's how old that one is.
But you need an instruction manual for dad jokes, is what you're telling me.
This was a Father's Day gift. I will thank you very much. This was a Father's Day gift of many, many years ago. Anyway, so Space Punks, yes. You know what? I'm going to be a little more optimistic about it. I don't think it's going to shatter any records or anything like that. From my experience so far, there's nothing like groundbreakingly new. But it is competent. It is fun. Yes, it's going to be repetitive, but that's the nature of the genre that they're going for here. So I don't hold that against it. That's a very Diablo looter shooter Warframe thing to do, Path of Exile thing to do. So I'm going to stream it after the show today. Yeah, it's not going to be a blockbuster or anything, but I think there's a little more fun to be had there, or maybe than Jason is willing to give it. Q, where do you see the long term? Or longer term, I should say.
So this is one of those games that I would probably play. But I'm obviously not going to buy it when it says it's going to be free. I'm obviously not going to buy it, especially on the Epic Game Store. The only thing I use the Epic Game Store for is the weekly free games.
Right.
And it's not really anything against the store itself. I mean, it's still missing a bunch of stuff and everything, right? So
a fucking cart. Sorry.
Yes. So, but I'm just like, most of my library's on Steam, and at this point, I mean, I'll have free games on any of the other platforms, but if I'm buying games, I'm probably just buying them on Steam because that's where my library is.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of people are that way. It's not so much a hatred necessarily for these other things. It's just...
What is it Zach Sharps always says about the Epic Game Store and the free games? He's like, yeah, I claim my free games there, but it's always like, I go there when I want to visit my free games in prison. All right. Also on video front, Troy, Mr. Noob Fridge himself, now with a new graphics card after taking his previous graphics card for a swim, put out a Star Wars The Old Republic video yesterday. It's on YouTube and on MMOBomb.com. You can check it out. Kind of explaining the whole combat styles thing. We talked about it a few weeks ago that this was going to be something coming in the upcoming Legacy of the Sith expansion. But BioWare, to their detriment maybe, really, I think, launched the idea of the combat styles thing on their stream in not a very good explanation-wise way. I actually didn't truly understand exactly what it was trying to do. I understood conceptually that it was going to give you the ability to play any class's story if you wanted to, regardless of whether that was the character you rolled. But I didn't actually understand how this works. So not only did Troy put together a video explaining it better, now that the Jedi Guardian is on the PTR and you can actually check it out a little bit, he gives some gripes with the way it's implemented on their public test realms. But then he talks about some speculation and on what this could do or allow BioWare to do in the future, puts a tinfoil hat on, talks about some theories on Reddit, on different forums and things like that, and his own thoughts as well. The basic gist of it, I'll try and break this down you don't pick a class anymore. Like right now you go and you play the Jedi Guardian, and that is your class, and you get the Jedi Guardian story because that's the class you picked. Well, right now, or when Combat Styles comes out, instead of doing that, you're actually just going to pick from like either Force or Tech. And that would be like the style of the character itself. Then you pick the story you want to play on either side. You have your 4 Force options and your 4 Tech options. So you pick the story you want to play through, and that's also going to be who your voice actor is, by the way, since those were story or class dependent as well. And then finally, you pick a combat style. So you don't necessarily, they're not calling it classes anymore. You pick from one of two options, pick the story you want to play, and then pick what combat style you want to play through that story with. So you might pick Jedi Guardian. You'll get the Jedi Guardian's abilities and animations and cooldowns and all that style of combat, but you could be playing through one of the other Force storylines. It seems kind of weird conceptually, but it could possibly open up some things down the road, Jason, I think.
Yeah, first of all, I'm glad that Troy did make this video because I didn't understand it really either, and I'm watching through it, it finally all clicked for me, so good job, Troy. Look, I'm complimenting Troy. See, I'm a nice guy.
Heart, one size, +1.
Yeah, one size, +1.
Jason Hart, +1.
All right. But yeah, I just wonder about almost like the thematic portion of this. Like that, it kind of bugs me. It'll probably make sense as a gamer. It probably makes sense from a systems perspective, and we'll get into why they might be doing it in a little while. But it's going to feel weird to me to think, okay, I'm a Jedi Knight, going through all the Jedi Knight storylines, but I can shoot lightning out of my hand. Like that.
Well, that is one thing that BioWare has not actually revealed yet, because they do have those concerns, and they've said that too. Terra Nova just brought it up in chat too. Not sure how I feel about Jedi can have Sith powers, either be Sith or don't. That is one thing that BioWare really hasn't released details on. It sounds like they're still trying to figure it out, at least publicly. They're still trying to figure out what to do with the whole light side, dark side when it comes to Jedi Guardian. Like maybe instilling a second choice in that side of this whole choice matrix going down. So that could change, but right now, like on the diagrams they use, yeah, you could go through and play a Jedi story with a Sith Force class because they are all Force combat styles, Q. And that, I think that could be a little weird.
Yeah, So, from my perspective, I don't care as much because I don't care about Star Wars and I don't play BioWare games.
You're not a proper geek.
Q's heart -1.
Oh, there we go.
I'm a Trekkie, so I mean, I watch all the Star Wars, but I watch them like once, and that's the extent of me caring. But yeah, I can see where it would be really weird for people who actually care about the lore to have such a big shift. But like Troy said, there was something he said in the video about them, applying Force-related stuff to that. So it seems like, I don't know, like maybe in the end they'll just, in addition to making you choose all these things, they'll just make you choose, your side of the Force. And while you still have expanded powers, they're not expanded powers kind of thing. So
I think it is neat from a gameplay perspective, right? But ironically, it's neat for people who are already through whatever stories they wanted to play, like, because you do hear like, hey, I'm a new player. Mike, I know you play Star Wars occasionally. What's the best story? Like, what class story should I go through? And that's always been kind of weird to me. Like, you really want the best class story, but that might not necessarily jive with you enjoying the play style of said class. And there are better and worse class storylines. This definitely kind of fixes that. Oh, you want the trooper one? Go ahead and play that. Now you pick anybody on the tech side and you'll be able to play that. I do think it also leads to, Jason, you just said, like little anachronistic type pieces where this doesn't quite fit when your character thematically is standing there in Jedi robes. There isn't too much of that stuff, that the combat style, but there are some. There are definitely some. Yeah. One of the things,
I played the trooper storyline. I played that.
Unless
it's going to feel weird if I'm like some little pistol shooting guy doing it.
Unless they create a storyline where you can start out as a Jedi, and then after you've done your stuff, and then something happens, and you just end up.
They're not going to create a new story.
Yeah, and that's the thing, though. I think one of the things that they're aiming to do with this longer term is it now allows them to add classes without having to build story. Right? That's always been the big thing with SWTOR is if you add a class, everybody's going to expect a whole new class story for that particular class when it's added to the game, and BioWare just doesn't have the development time or resources that they did, obviously, before the game launched to sit there and create those kind of things. And who knows if EA is willing to pay them to do such a thing, you know?
I was about to say, isn't the story pretty much BioWare? Like, hasn't that always been their thing?
It has. But adding a brand new class to the game as it was built now, or as it is built now, would require a whole new class story, unless, and it would be perceived as very lazy if you just said, oh, this class, they're related to bounty hunters, so they play the bounty hunter class story too. You know, that would be perceived as lazy. And maybe this is perceived as a little bit lazy by some. I don't know. But this does give them the ability to say, hey, we're adding a new force and a new tech class, and you can still pick one of the 8 original class stories to play, whichever one you want to play. So if you want to check out the new class, I guess I should say the new combat style, go ahead and pick a class story that you never leveled and you want to play that story. I do think it frees them up a little bit on that front, Q, but we are talking about a game that it's, you know, in its waning years, maybe 2, maybe 50, I don't know, but it is on the downside of its development. I don't know how likely that's going to be to happen. Certainly not in the next year, but, you know, Troy kind of speculated maybe in the next 2 years we see new SWTOR classes.
I guess. I mean, obviously, this is where they're putting their effort right now. So, just kind of expanding it. But I don't know if you think if you think they're just waning, then maybe they just do go with this, and then instead of actually doing new classes, you have what is it they're calling it?
Combat styles?
The combat styles?
The combat styles. They just continue to add combat styles.
Well, yeah, that's
And-
exactly
Well, that
what
is
I'm talking
basically a
about.
class,
Yeah.
Right, but I mean, instead of proper classes, yeah, it is I think that's the other thing that confused a lot of people is they're like, oh, combat styles, and then when you get into it, it's like, okay, so it's the class, but it's now the class without the. So I mean, yeah, you may be right, and since it is under EA may just be like, yeah, it is totally not worth you guys spending any more money on this.
Yeah, we're making millions, and we're fine with that.
And they have,
just
they had the $300 million budget or whatever initially, and they just don't have that kind of cash anymore. So if they're going to add new classes or whatever, they have to kind of do it on the cheap and have to figure out a way to do it, and this is it.
This certainly does it. It certainly does it.
Although, one of Troy's other suggestions was maybe they're going to have a console release. I was like, no, they're not going to do that. That's not going to happen.
Well, so
But,
that comes more from the abilities are being simplified
Sure.
across the combat styles in this spectrum too.
simplified.
So that was
they're only going to have 35 skills instead of 40.
right.
Yeah.
So that was
It
where
never,
he was kind of
it never
speculating.
ever works when a MMO says it's simplifying its combat.
I highly doubt SWTOR would go to consoles at this point.
But
At this point.
But you can't play SWTOR on Steam. And the Steam Deck is coming, so I don't know.
Oh yeah, that thing. That thing.
So,
Yeah.
I don't know.
Get SWTOR to run on the Switch, then I'll be impressed. Oh my. Jason, what's green, smells like vinegar, and plays football? The Green Bay Pickles.
That's not even good. That's terrible. That's not even.
That's
I didn't
awful.
say it was good. I'm not saying any of them are good.
Like there are actually good, relatively amusing dad jokes. That was not one of them. And they actually took the time to write that in a book.
Yeah.
Think about that.
Yeah. Here's another one along those lines. What's brown, wrinkled, and lives in a tower? The lunch bag of Notre Dame.
What football team put out a bounty for parts of your head?
I don't know.
The Buccaneers.
Oh, a buck, an ear. I get it.
There we go.
What the hell's Path of Exile doing, Jason?
Hang on, I'm getting a drink. We're going to Canada. Wait, not exactly.
Wait.
No, Canada's coming to them.
Canada came to them. Yeah. So yeah, they're having a new expansion, of course, next week. Comes out as they do expansions all the time. This one's called Expedition. And it's not the players necessarily going on the expeditions. It's about a group of people from another world, another land, other than Ray class. They're called Calgurans, which I think means they come from Calgary, but I could be wrong. But a long time ago, they sent an expedition to Ray class. Yeah, sent an expedition to Ray class to try and settle it and maybe find out other stuff there. And of course, that went terribly. So Now, in the present day, some more Calgorians have come, and they're trying to find the remnants of their old expedition. So they send the characters out on these different little trips out to various places to search for the remains, search for artifacts of what happened and what happened to their previous people. And the way you excavate all of that stuff is you use explosives pretty much all the time.
Just blow shit up all over
blow
the
shit
place.
up. That's how you just for budding archaeologists, that's how you actually excavate. Is you use explosives everywhere. But that's sort of like the main gameplay thing. Is you'll send it out to a little map, a little area, new area. Not something you've been to before. It's a new created area, and you'll find various spots where they've like marked where all the different artifacts are, or resources, or whatever. And you have to set off a chain of explosions. You have to figure out how you want to set off this chain to maximize your treasure, to maximize the amount of enemies you're going to have, what kind of enemies, and so forth. So you set all that up, and you activate it. Everything blows up. A bunch of monsters come out of the soil, which are apparently like the remains of the previous expedition. So they're upset about being awakened, which you would after being in the ground for 1,000 years and hearing some sort of boom going off above you. So they all come up. You slaughter all of them. You do all that stuff. You get loot, and it's a Path of Exile expansion. Slaughter a bunch of stuff, get loot. So this is the means by which they're doing it in this expansion.
Now, I did, when in reading your preview, which check it out on MMOBomb.com, Jason's Calgarian, whatever preview.
Calgarian.
Yeah, check it out. You do talk a lot, though, about flasks and their, repeated or almost infinite use in some cases, and certain abilities that the PoE team at Grinding Gear Games has just kind of said, you know what? The game's probably a little too easy right now, and things are just getting spammed, and we're gonna make some changes. And you immediately, like, before I even got to where you said it, I was like, boy, that's gonna piss people off. And then like the next sentence, it was like, I asked Chris, don't you think that's gonna make players upset? And I was like, thank you, Jason, for hitting the question.
Yeah,
and his answer was what? It was just probably, probably.
Yeah. So they're doing like a major rebalance to try and make things a little more challenging. One of the things he showed in the presentation, he showed a chart, and you can actually see this, I think, in the video of the full presentation, where it was like the x-axis was x-axis was time, y-axis was power level. I asked him about and it went like this. I asked him about what the actual like measurement was on that y-axis, and he just said some sort of thing about how it's just power level and how we figure stuff gets done and whatnot. So, but yeah, they're going to redo that. They're going to redo how flasks work, because the way, especially if you watch any of these videos, compared to how I play, I'm like, okay, here's a group of like 4 mobs. All right, I beat them down. Good, I got that. Okay, rest up, take a moment. Here's a group of 5 mobs. Go kill that, so on and so forth. But you watch the videos when they're actually doing these demos, it's like going through this, swing your axe around, kill 50 things. Go to the next group, kill 50 things, put them all together, kill 100 things. It's like, oh my God, how do they do that? Well, every time you kill something in Path of Exile, it helps refill your flasks. Which, if you're doing this, if you're killing 100 things a minute, your flasks, they go down when you hit your button, your 1 through 5 keys to make them, to get the bonus killing power or health or whatever.
Yeah, but then they're like
instantly
full.
They go instantly refill. Yeah, so they're making a lot of changes. Some of them are to make it so you don't gain as much when you kill monsters. That's part of it. Another part is that what was it? You can't pre-use some flasks to get beneficial effects. You have to do it when you have the actual effect on you. And they're also introducing some things that will let you automatically activate flasks. Like if you get to like half life, it automatically hits your health flask. So you can fill right back up, so you won't be hitting the buttons as much. He called it flask piano, which makes sense if you're going on the 1 through 5 keys hitting your flask. He actually showed a tweet of some guy who was like, "Yeah, I hurt myself." He actually had like a little finger brace on because he was playing Path of Exile too much. So, so they're definitely doing a lot of things on those lines. And as you said, I asked him, because this is a press thing where they have like 15 people from press in there, and you can ask a few questions. That was the one I specifically asked. I was like, how are people going to feel about that? Don't they just want easy loot all the time? It's going to be harder now. And he's like, yeah, it might be a little iffy, but he thinks the game is still too easy after all the changes they're making. So we'll see how that goes.
Q, are you still into Path of Exile? I know that's one you jump back and forth into occasionally.
Yeah, it's what I'm not in right now. And until I get an external hard drive for this, maybe not, because I've taken up space. The laptop.
You're all Genshin'd up.
Well, Genshin, Final Fantasy, Ion, and Death Stranding. But
Jason, so there was a question I wanted to ask here. I never get the terminology right, and somebody always calls me out on YouTube here, so I want to make sure. Is this an expansion, a league, a season? Like, what the hell? I always forget what they call what in Path of Exile here.
Honestly, that always confuses me too. As far as like the way I would put it is like an expansion means you're expanding, bringing more content and so forth. Now the league in Path of Exile is you can start as a character just using this new content, well the base content plus whatever the new thing is, and after the league is done, which is after 2.5 months, 3 months when the next thing is going to come out, you can transfer that character to the main game, which will have whatever the main game stuff is. Don't generally have the new league content, which is the new stuff like all the explosions, whatever we're talking about here.
Yeah, that's why I kind of get confused because expansions add content, but so do leagues.
yeah. It's I don't know.
So this is what I do when I'm not entirely sure. I just refer to everything as content updates and then either indicate that it's a big content update or just a content update. And then nobody can tell me I'm wrong because it's a content update.
Well, technically everything expands. So I mean, that's why I feel a little, it's just league crap that bothers me. So.
Right, but expansions, right, are supposed to be big. But some games don't call them expansions either, right? They'll call them something else. So I just refer to everything as content updates unless it specifically says what it is. That way, nobody can say I'm wrong.
You're not wrong. I can't say you're wrong there. Oh, we're getting Battle Royale, too. Yeah, I'm sure,
back,
everybody is getting Battle Royale back. Guardian Veil saying it's a league, not an expansion. All right,
Whatever.
So YouTube, blame Guardian Veil if that's wrong. Not me.
Yeah. You're
getting Battle Royale back in Path of Exile. Well, at least for a little bit. And on weekends. Just on weekends.
Yeah, well, it's live now. You can go and do the Path of Exile. What do they call it? Hey, Path of Exile Royale. Okay, I thought they had some special name for
That's
it.
an incredible name.
Yeah, Path of Exile Royale. It is improved from if you played the April Fool's version that they did 3 years ago. 3 years ago when they said in 2018, there was a trend when every online game was releasing a Battle Royale mode. And I'm like, yeah, that's still the case.
We're still there.
That's still there, yeah. But they've updated a lot of things. It's got its own specialized passive tree. They've got leaderboards. So they're going to run it every weekend after Expedition launches, which is going to be on July 23rd on PC and on consoles on July 28th. But it's live now for this weekend, and I guess technically that means like next weekend, really.
Every time I'm like, I want to play Path of Exile, I play for 20 minutes, and I'm like, God, there's just so much for me to do to catch up that I'm going to go play something else. And there's nothing wrong with the game. I love the game. I love Diablo. I love Path of Exile. But every time I'm in there, I'm like, God, yeah, I have months and months to catch up. I think I'm just going to go play Final Fantasy 14 or something. It's just, I don't find it for me.
Which I would have months and months to catch up on if I got into
True.
again. So
not really.
Welcome to online. Welcome to Games as a Service, Mike.
I feel different about Path of Exile. Maybe it's just me, but let's just I feel like the game is a little overwhelming at times for.
Well, they have talked about
players.
how they are going to eventually. They're going to kind of like vault their leagues when they get to like 30, 40, 50 of them.
Leagues. I think it is because of the leagues that it just feels overwhelming because there's just this whatever mechanic, is going on at the time. Mm-hmm. And then of course some of them do make it into the long game, the official. This is the game that's been here. But then every time you come back, there's a new league, and then it's like, do I start a new character and do the league? Do I just continue what I was doing over here in the regular game and just ignore the new league stuff that's going on? But now there's these new mechanics from the previous leagues that I skipped out on that I have to learn. So.
Hey, when does a joke become a dad joke? When the punchline becomes apparent. Let's finish off with some.
The lowest rated. We're gonna get 1,000 downvotes on this one.
YouTube's gonna censor it. YouTube's just like, nah.
This man must be stopped.
Jason, you had a little bit of a change of heart this week before we slide over to the bombs here. And yes, we did mention Magic Legends earlier in the show. Chat asked Magic what? And then somebody told them Magic Lemons.
Oh.
So, pretty ingenious reply. But Cryptic / Perfect World, Cryptic Studio / Perfect World Entertainment, they have sent out, maybe you got it, if you didn't, check your spam, via email to Magic Legends players, a gift pack for Star Trek Online and Neverwinter. So trying to entice you, obviously, to jump from one PWE title to another with some fancy in-game stuff, just saying thank you for playing Magic Legends. Maybe you want to check out one of our other 2 games. By the way, I'm sure we'll be talking soon about Neverwinter's revamp. We'll have to check that out on stream as well when Bard and, more importantly, the whole revamp of the leveling experience changes. I think that's next week. Yeah, and so, Jason, you hated when another company did something like this, trying to push you to other products of theirs, but you kind of respected the way PWE and Cryptic held it here.
First question for you, Mike. Did you actually get your email yet?
I did.
Okay, you did finally get it.
Yeah,
Okay.
I was very late on the blast, but I got mine.
Yeah, because Q got it and she said in chat, anybody else get this? And I checked my email. I was like, oh, yeah, it's there. And Mike was like, no, I don't have it yet. So
2 weeks. Okay, thanks, Terra Nova. It's 2 weeks. 27th is when the Neverwinter stuff changes.
Okay. But yeah, so like I said, like Mike said, they're offering you different packs, 2 different packs for Star Trek Online, 1 for Neverwinter. Now, when
you blasted Defiance for this same thing.
Yes. When Gamigo did this with Defiance, it was all over their Twitter. All over. Basically, it was all over the Rift Twitter. Or not Rift, Defiance Twitter. That's all it was. The Defiance Twitter said, hey, go to Trove and get some stuff. And that did kind of bug me because it was like using that Twitter and use it repeatedly, like for every game over the course of several weeks. If it had been a one-time post where it said, hey, we're sorry this is shutting down, here are some information we can get stuff for other games or something, then I might have been okay with it. It just seemed a little too cheery and a little too commercial for me, I guess, being out on Twitter, out in the public like that and doing it multiple times over and over. Here it's just one email. It starts with, thank you for playing Magic. Here's a thank you gift for playing. Thank you for playing Magic Legends. In addition to providing full refunds for all in-game purchases across Arc of the Epic Game Store, we'd also have to give you in-game keys for our other games, blah, blah, blah. And that just seemed more respectful to me. It seemed a little more respectful, a little less happy, like, hey, go play our other games. This is awesome. All right.
So it was advertising without feeling like advertising. It was feeling like almost an apology gift. Like, hey, we're sorry.
Actually,
we gave you your money back, and here's some free stuff if you want to check out the other stuff, too.
Exactly. So, I don't know. That's just
my opinion. It's all about the
it.
delivery for you.
Yeah. Yeah, it's all about the delivery.
All right. Q, has this ever worked for you? Like, if you're playing a game and it shuts down and they send you free stuff for other stuff, I can honestly say that off the top of my head, I don't think I've ever just jumped into another game I've never played before because the publisher gave me stuff. Now, this works out for me because I do occasionally play Neverwinter, so yeah, sure, I will use that key. But, I'm not going to jump into Star Trek Online now. It's just not, the game isn't my personal cup of tea. Has this worked for you or turned you on to a new game that you might not have given a shot to before, ever, in the past?
No, this is the same situation for me. This works well for me because I do play Star Trek Online occasionally. So, hey, free stuff in a game I play sometimes. But
yeah, that's always
I've never been like, ooh, well, there's free stuff in this game. Now I have to go get it because there like there isn't free stuff in every free to play game at some point. I mean.
Like, log in every day and you get 18,000
right daily login rewards.
Like, I mean, but and the stuff in the packs are nice. Yeah. I do find it kind of interesting that they gave 2 Star Trek packs, but I think the other thing that was not bad about this one was they stuck to Cryptic games.
Yeah,
right? They didn't advertise the myriad of other Perfect World titles that are floating around, right? Like Gamigo did with theirs. They went because Gamigo was just like, here's this game that's not even remotely tied to the company that originally
Yeah.
So
yeah, that wasn't part of the try on world asset buy or anything.
I'm actually looking back now at the old tweets. Here's one of those. Here's one that was sent out. This is on the @Defiance Game Twitter. Trove is celebrating International Women's Day. Head into Trove today and take part in their Fun Forum event. Use this code now to kick off your journey. Use this code now to kick off your journey and with an additional pack. Thanks and see you in Trove. That was the code. It's like, fuck you, play our
Was-
game.
Was that the creepy Women's Day event?
I don't know. Maybe it was. Yeah.
I think it was Trove that did the. Yeah, it was Trove that did the creepy Women's Day event.
Yeah.
Or there were a couple of them where you were just hunting down and killing women or something.
And they also did another code for desert operations, which of course is something that all the Defiance players were going to be into.
Yeah.
But that's like what you said about them at least doing the cryptic games that you might be sort of interested in, as opposed to every other perfect world thing under the sun.
Like,
Yeah, we were looking at it going, is that still a game? Is that still a game? Oh yeah, that's right, Q. The Trove Women's Day event was basically date, marry, kill.
yes, that's what it was.
And both you and I, when we put it up, we were like, what?
And there was another there, and then there was the DCUO one where you hunted down poison ivy, I think.
Oh
repeatedly.
no.
yeah.
That was Pride.
Or-
That was celebrating Pride.
Right.
Oh, that was okay. Yeah.
And yeah,
That was in
Okay.
like some DC mobile game. I don't think it was DC.
yeah.
mobile
It was in
itself.
the mobile fighting game.
Okay.
Yeah, Injustice Mobile. Yeah, that's where you got it, Old Glory. That was celebrating Pride Month by going and kicking Poison Ivy's ass hundreds of thousands of times because that totally made sense. Okay, wrapping it up here before we do our bombs. Australia looking
You're
to
way early in the saga.
yeah. Australia looking to introduce a bill in August to make it illegal to sell loot box stuff to minors. Kind of an acknowledgement here saying we as a country accept that people over the age of 18 can gamble, but let's make that for adults and giving parents a warning to allow very young children to pay cash for a randomized event that may or may not reward them. That would meet any definition of gambling. Will it go anywhere? I don't know, but we'll keep you posted. Just letting you know it's a thing and keeping it brief here. I think that's one of the most like common sense things I've heard any politician anywhere say in probably quite a long time. Hey, you're an adult, you want to gamble, buy loot boxes, fine. Let's not market them to kids. Stop it.
So is it an election year in Australia?
Right, I guess we should find out.
Probably is.
I think it might be. I have a friend in Australia who's been going on about politics, but it's mostly COVID related. So,
and then on the mobile front of things, your boy Ninja getting an avatar character in Raid Shadow Legends. Now, you will just think, hey, there's a quick cash grab. You can get the character for free. Yeah. Yep. It'll be revealed on a stream on Monday, the 19th, although you can already see it. Yes, he has been playing a lot of Final Fantasy 11, so,
if he can tear himself away from that, he'll go stream
Yep.
Raid Shadow Legends, apparently.
Yeah, he's going to stream that. You'll actually be able to get it starting today, but the stream will be on Monday. All you need to do is log in on 7 days over the next 3 months. After that point, he won't be available anymore. So it's not like get it for free now. It'll be in the cash shop, if you miss it. So yeah, the days don't need to be consecutive. All you got to do is log in 7 times over the next 3 months, and you will get the Ninja avatar in Raid Shadow Legends. I know it's mobile, but I thought it was kind of interesting. I don't know how I feel about it. I think it's kind of dumb. Like, if I played Shadow Legends, or even if I was, like, a huge Ninja fan, I just wouldn't care about this personally. Good for him. Like, I guess it's cool to be... And he's been in other games, though, too. Like, this isn't his first time. He's done stuff with Fortnite and different skins there.
Fortnite, obviously.
Yeah.
Any other ones.
But good for him. I guess it's cool, for him. And I'm sure he got some moolah to use his likeness and everything there. So good for him. Not begrudging him that. But for me, Q, this one's kind of just dumb. I'm like, yeah, okay. I don't want to play as Ninja in my fantasy-based RPG battler game.
well, I guess that's true. I wouldn't want to play as a real life person. This is right, like his fantasy of what he would look like.
Exactly. It's great for him.
Is what he's. But the weird thing about it to me is like just as far as I know, he doesn't play this game. It makes total sense to me to have like if you play a game a lot to have an avatar of you put in there, right? Because it's a thing. It's not like it's a thing that hasn't been done forever with online games. Like honoring somebody or something like that. So it's not weird in that sense. It's just weird because as far as I know, he doesn't play this game. Not that I actually keep track of what Ninja does anyway. Like,
Yeah, well, I think he's obviously he advertises
I'm
it,
not
but I
his
think
core
I think he
audience,
has played
so-
it before too. He does
Right, but I
reference in the
mean-
interview video for this, that he does play the game, and I'll take him at his word because I don't know otherwise. I don't sit there and watch
Right,
Ninja
okay.
on his phone. So
Right. Well, and I mean, I do watch like there's a YouTuber that I watch who does the wood turning stuff, like making things out of colored pencils glued together and all of that.
Oh yeah.
And he advertises this all the time. Like he does his own built-in advertisements on it. This is like where he's making his money at the moment. And I'm just like, okay, and listen to the advertisement go on. But I don't know, it's not something I associated Ninja with, for obvious reasons. One, I don't pay that much attention to him, and two, you mostly just associate it with Fortnite.
Well, I mean,
so-
Jason, you're definitely logging in to get this, right? You wouldn't miss
Yeah,
this
heck
for the
yeah.
world.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And if Plarium
You
wants to
almost
pay
dyed
me-
your hair blue. I had to talk you out of it.
Have you been listening to our conversations? Because that's actually a thing that's been discussed in this household lately. But we'll get onto that some other time. Yeah, I mean, if Plarium wants to pay me like $500,000 or whatever, I will gladly jump into their game and play it. I'll stream it even.
And you'll play as Ninja. You don't care.
I'll play as Ninja. I'll play as anything. I don't care.
Let's slide over and do the weekly bombs. I'm going to go first today just because I'm kind of annoyed at this. And I know this is normally Troy department. I might be encroaching a little bit. Just to let me visit, and then I'll leave. And then Troy can have it all back here. But I am getting increasingly more angry at Bless Unleashed and its upcoming PC release on Steam for the game that we're developing this entirely for consoles, console experience, and now it's coming to PC. This entire franchise is just steadily, progressively made me more angry. And there was a time where I was positive about the beginning of Bless Unleashed, and then devolved from there. And recently, I was putting together interview questions to send to the Bless Unleashed team. In the request that they said, hey, if you want an interview, we're willing to do it. Nothing is off limits. And they made a statement twice in the email. Nothing is off limits. Nothing is off limits. I have a feeling that when I get my questions back, some of them will have been off limits. Or just be ignored, or have really, really dumb answers. Because I did kind of go right after the, what's your response to people who just call this a straight out scam, anything with the Bless IP on it, the way it's been handled, the way money's been funneled to the mobile project and to Unleashed, and et cetera, et cetera. Are you going to be doing anything to provide a little bit of recompense for PC players? And I typically, I expect the answer no on that one. But I want them to address it, because what made me more angry in getting these questions together was doing some additional research and just seeing things going unanswered everywhere. That's not that the devs or the team they're not replying on like Steam discussion and stuff like that. They are. But this stuff they're just flat out ignoring, and it's stuff that just should have been addressed head on at the beginning of all of this and been done. As soon as you announced this was coming to PC, you knew these were going to be questions. Why aren't there answers out there for these already? Why hasn't there been a developer's letter on, we know PC players might feel upset or in a certain way because of what happened with Bless Online. And here's why we believe you should give us a chance. Why we should earn that back from you. And that stuff hasn't been there. And that really pisses me off. So we'll see what they say in the interview questions when I get them back. Speaking of interviews, Monday I'll be posting one that I just got the questions back today from Scavengers. So check that out on Monday. Jason, go ahead.
First of all, I actually read a thing on massively this morning about Camelot Unchained and how that's been having issues with money supposedly, but they say they're not, and they sent questions apparently to them in May and haven't received responses yet, with also similarly tough questions. So it feels like that same sort of thing to me. So that's interesting.
Nice.
I'm gonna give a dub bomb. Maybe I shouldn't, because I know I would never like do anything with this. But I'm gonna give a dub bomb to the Final Fantasy 14 cooking book that's coming out.
There you go.
Just because, and I know, first of all, I know I'm not much of a chef. I'm not going to do anything fancy. I know all the recipes are just the same thing, but with some sort of 14 thing added to it. It's not bean soup, it's Lalafell bean soup or whatever, it's just the same thing or whatever. But I still think those are cute. I like video game cooking manuals. I remember reading through the Overwatch one a while back. I thought that was cute too. So it's a neat idea to give you a chance to do something outside of the game, but still themed to your game. So
awesome.
Dub bomb.
Q.
Tangentially related, I actually have a MASH cookbook sitting back there.
Do you make potatoes with it?
The secrets of the MASH mess.
I don't want to know.
Actually, that's a good point.
It was written by the guy. It was written by the guy who played Igor in
Oh
MASH.
my god!
Who played the guy in the MASH mess? He wrote it. So I collect cookbooks.
I just don't feel like there's
was
many gourmet samplings coming out of a mobile hospital unit.
it's got surprisingly actual good recipes.
Except for that one episode where one soldier who was like a gourmet chef got injured and
Oh yeah.
For a while, man.
Yeah, that one. So I'm gonna give a bomb to Jason's Path of Exile article because it made me giggle.
All right.
I was amused the whole time.
From chat, Nasagra getting it in early says the bomb to the new Switch Pro, quote Pro, right? It came from Valve with a full Linux desktop environment, meaning that not only do you have access to Steam games that work on Linux, Proton for the people willing to sail the high seas, it gives better access to Nintendo's back catalog. May want to fix that, Nintendo, because soon Valve will do what Nintendo don't. There's a nice reference. The only thing I don't like about that thing is the price. I think they're pricing themselves out of the market a little bit.
And the one button that is off
yeah,
the
looks
side.
like it's jumping off the side.
Well, I read a thing on IGN or Polygon where they actually said that's not so bad.
Yeah,
like it's a pretty good review of it.
And they were like,
and Gabe himself says.
I saw in the tweet they were like, oh, by the way, this is not a Steam controller. It's fine once you get used to it. No. This is just fine. It's comfortable.
Gabe says it's painful to offer it at the price they're offering already. So it's like, yeah, that sounds
poor
like
Gabe.
Yeah, I'm so concerned. Guardian Vale, dub bomb to Path of Exile. I wasn't going to play this league, but they're saying all the right things, and the new league looks so good, plus the new skills. Dub bomb for the Disney series Loki. It's really good. A-bomb to Disney for saying you don't need to watch the MCU TV series to understand the movies. You do. Favorite dad joke, never trust an atom. They make up everything. Question for Mike, how many unbanned mails did I get? I got like 2 or 3. It wasn't bad. Ninja Pandas, da-bomb to dad jokes. That's it. Thank you, Ninja. And Old Glory, da-bomb to the free-to-play cast live. Thanks for awesome Friday evenings for me. You're very welcome. That's very kind of you. Thank you. From the viewers on YouTube or on MMOBomb.com, Rickshaw says, my favorite Lost Art classes are Holy Knight, Soul Master, Goku-like, Magician, Summoner, Assassin Demonic, Hunter Scouter, Hunter Blaster, and Warrior Warlord in no particular order. So, half of them. Go ahead, Jason.
Bull Voxarius says, Debon for Summer Games Done Quick 2021. Great event again for a great cause. I hope the next event would be in person. It's about time.
Absolutely.
Hopefully by next summer.
They raised a ton as always. Go ahead, Q.
Earthly Power, Debomb to the MMOBomb cast and those we don't see behind closed doors mounted.
That's very kind of you. We will let them all know. RS Jabber, Debomb to Anvil. Very nice co-op shooter with top-down view and roguelike mechanics. Having zero expectations, I was pleasantly surprised by how fun this game is. Quick note on last week's segment, Yami Kami and one other, I apologize if I'm forgetting the name, brought up some feedback when we were talking about the Apex Legends / Titanfall hacking situation, which we spent more of the time focused on the ethic ethical or moral aspect of the hacking, and they felt that we kind of glossed over what the actual issues were that they were doing that for. We just said that there were issues with the game. And they wanted us to be a little more detailed and explain that it was from Titanfall, not necessarily just performance in game, but a lot of botting, making the game unplayable to the point for people that buy it on Steam. And that was they thought we should have brought that up in context to show that it was a little more serious, the situation that led to the hacking, which was where we predominantly focused the discussion. And they brought that up as a little critique, a little A-bomb for us. They hoped that we didn't take it personally. We don't. That kind of wasn't the focus of our discussion. But you're absolutely right. So we're bringing it up here so that you have that frame of reference if you're watching last week's show. Thank you, Yami Kami. Question of the week last week. If we're able to convince the site's owner to finally cover non-free-to-play titles, what game needs to be the very first look we do as far as the catch-up first looks go? Predictably, I think you can guess most of the answers here. Guestly says probably Final Fantasy XIV. As you said, you would stick with MMOs, then you should ride the wave of 14 popularity at the moment. But overall, I think it'd be great to cover trendy, hyped, aka highly anticipated upcoming games. Remember, Jason and I are more pitching it as just keeping it multiplayer. You know, there's no reason for MMOBomb to try to be IGN and cover everything gaming. But
yeah, I can't just do them all Total War.
Yeah, right. Let's be real. It's not 2005 to 2015, more or less around that time, where MMOs popped up right, and a lot of them were free to play right off the bat. Now there are a handful of MMOs in productions, which most likely won't be free to play. Ashes of Creation, sub without a box cost. New World, buy to play. Crowfall, buy to play. Crimson Desert, which will have MMO aspects to the game, and if I remember, it'll be buy to play. And just now launched Swords of Legends Online. It's no secret that a lot of free-to-play MMOs flop really hard, just like Magic Legends recently, and that Torchlight games. So I think free-to-play in publisher dev eyes are not so safe a bet anymore. I disagree with the bottom part of that statement, Guestly. They feel it's very safe, but they want to try and suck up the sales first, which invariably leads to us covering it 6 or 9 months down the road after everybody else has already covered it. So that's kind of where we're coming from with, you know what, let's just open this up to all multiplayer.
And I'm sorry, but I've for 10 years now, I've still been going against this notion that, well, free-to-play games will just crash and the buy-to-play games will be better.
Yeah, I don't buy it.
Look at the games you mentioned there. You mentioned Ashes of Creation, New World, Crowfall, all three of which are not exactly lighting it up. So
Guestly does finish by saying, in short, I think it would be great to expand a bit and cover at least those types of MMOs, which players are waiting for, and the most popular live games. And Jason and I don't think you're wrong. Go ahead, Jason.
Pans Freaks is question of the week. Final Fantasy XIV. Of course, if there was a first look or gameplay video, that could top the Vampire the Masquerade one. We'd be Mike doing a Final Fantasy XIV first look.
It's got a 60% like ratio, and I don't know how much of that video is people pissed that Vampire the Masquerade is a battle royale, people that don't get the joke about doing the entire thing in character, people that do get the joke and don't like it. It's probably a mix of all three, but it was a fun first. It's not even the official first look, so I had some.
You should have put in more dad jokes.
I should have put in some more dad jokes. Go ahead, Q.
Tico 2399. Final Fantasy XIV needs to get a look if you're allowed to cover non-free-to-play games. To be clear, though, the game needs to be examined because of its own excellent merits, not because WoW guys decided to play it. Bellular and the Bald Guy should not be the reason this game gets covered on here. You guys do realize that Mike's primary game is Final Fantasy XIV.
Believe me, if Final Fantasy XIV is allowed to be covered at some point on MMOBomb, it will have absolutely nothing to do with anybody playing it recently that it will get the coverage. I have literally covered the game since version 1.
Will we get more of that than we get of the Genshin articles? So we do like one of those every other day.
They're really intelligent though. Like they're the way they release their information, and it's actual information. It's not just crap little, whatever. We basically for the last week and a half have done a Genshin piece every day.
I'm doing one today.
Yeah. RS Jabber says, question of the week, it has to be Final Fantasy XIV. There's a big enough power struggle at the top of the MMO hill, so that's a perfect opportunity. Also, if Jason didn't play it before, he has to know about critically acclaimed expanded free trial to level 60, including Heavensward expansion. really, he must try it.
Except that you can't do it if you already have an existing character. Got to be a brand new character. I want to use my existing character. I already have one.
Yeah.
So I hate it.
Finish it off, Jason.
But I'm probably going to be getting into that 2-week trial they've got going on. I'll do that at some point. Sujet says, question of the week, Final Fantasy 14 versus WoW. They're a big shutdown right now with several big YouTuber streamers making content about the issues. Strike while the iron is hot.
Yeah, it has nothing, unfortunately, to do with striking while the iron is hot. Jason and I have been trying to get the site owner to do this for 5 or 6 years now. Basically, it's a once-a-year conversation. So it's more we've wanted to do it for quite some time, but he really wanted the free-to-play niche. We think maybe we convinced him a multiplayer niche. He's thinking about it, so we'll see. We'll see. Our question of the week this week, would you play an avatar in a game of your favorite streamer? Why or why not? And if so, tell me the best mashup. What streamer in what game? Let us know below in the comments. Don't forget your weekly bombs. Dub bomb for something good, A bomb for something bad in the world of gaming. Your comments support both of these sections, so when there's no comments, we don't do these sections. So make sure you fill up the YouTube comments, feed the algorithm, and come on over to MMOBomb.com and leave your comments there too. We'll be back with another free-to-play cast next Friday, 1 p.m. Eastern. Until then, Q, where can everybody find you?
Hanging out on Twitter, where I'm apparently just going to get into arguments with Jason now about my Genshin Impact coverage.
Jason.
On Twitter at Winter Informal, streaming at twitch.tv/JasonWinter.
I'm Mike Byrne. You can follow me personally right there at magicman1, but more importantly, follow at MMOBomb, and we'll tweet at you every time we go live with a stream or a free-to-play cast, and all of our articles, interviews, first-look videos, and more. Until next time, gang, stay safe, and we'll see you out on the servers. Later.